vote to support what I wanted to do. And then after I went to that meeting, I felt a little bit guilty about not going back because I thought, well, they'll think I just wanted something. So I started attending the meetings every month, and soon they talked me into running for secretary, which at the time was not too difficult to win because no one wanted to take all those meeting minutes. So I served as a neighborhood secretary for 6 years, and then I was elected president of the neighborhood, and I served for 13 years. So, so I had a lot of experience with the neighborhood association system. And then when our longtime city councilman, who had done an excellent job, he retired after 20 years as a city councilman, I decided to run for city council. And Martha Espy is sitting here in the audience in the red shirt and the white sweater. And Martha and I have been together at City Hall for 9.5 years now. I'm in my 3rd term. But Martha was president of a neighborhood association for 10 years. One of the most active neighborhood associations because they had not only residential area, but also one of the business and entertainment hot spots in Birmingham. And so her neighborhood was always faced with rezonings and liquor license requests. I mean, that neighborhood got more liquor license requests than any one that I can think of. And of course, with having an entertainment district, obviously that's going to happen. But our experience then, you know, we came up through the neighborhood system and saw that it was a good thing. And we feel like that it provides a training ground for future elected officials so you don't get people in office who are totally clueless about how Birmingham or how city government works. It would fit anywhere. You know, people get elected and they think they can do things that they absolutely have no capability of doing. And they tell people they're going to do them and people believe them. Then they get into office and find out that they can't do all that stuff. And sometimes it creates disappointment. So all the time it creates disappointment for somebody. You know, when I was first elected, even with all my experience, there were a few things that I thought I could do that only the mayor could do. And he let me know that in a big darn But you know, we had a good relationship, and the relationship, what you want to hear is that the neighborhood associations have a great deal of power in Birmingham. We've been operating neighborhood associations for 37 years, and when the neighborhood speaks, the elected officials listen. Now, I won't tell you that every single issue is one that we go along with the neighborhood, because sometimes the neighborhood doesn't know the law, and unfortunately we do. And so there's some things we have to do because the law says we have to do it. But I would say, if I was going to guess, I would say that we agree with what the neighborhood associations want. What do you think, Martha? 85 to 90% of the time. So the neighborhoods are powerful. But the best thing about the neighborhood association system is that every single resident over the age of 16 who actually resides in that neighborhood, it doesn't matter whether you rent or own, you can vote. Everybody gets to vote on issues at the neighborhood meeting. You don't have a cadre of leaders who say that they're leading a bunch of people but really don't know what the people want because you've taken a vote. When you have a zone, or somebody wants to come in and rezone some property in your neighborhood, the city requires them to come to the neighborhood association and tell what they're going to do, and the neighborhood has to vote. And at those types of meetings, sometimes you'll have negotiations between that developer and that neighborhood to try to iron out the problems so that the developer gets what he wants, which is a rezoning, but the neighborhood gets the protection it wants from, you know, maybe visual things that they think will be onerous, or they want some commitments that the business owner will do certain things or won't do certain things. Like the neighborhood may not want them to stay open 24 hours a day, and the business owner commits, well, I'll just be open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. and then I'll close. That may be enough to satisfy the neighborhood, and they may vote for what he wants. Liquor licenses are another big issue in Birmingham. And when a neighborhood says, well, we voted against this because we think there are too many liquor licenses, that isn't a valid legal reason for voting one down. But if they say, we voted this down because this guy is selling alcohol to minors, he doesn't keep his place clean, there are people hanging around at all hours of the day and night doing things that we suspect are not right, well, then we have a reason to turn that liquor license request down, because those are things that we can legally hang our hat on. So the neighborhood associations are very powerful. They have money, which, as the mayor said, there has been, since his administration, each neighborhood has been given $10,000, and you can accumulate that money. My neighborhood right now has about $80,000 accumulated, and we have a 110-acre park in our neighborhood that we are dedicated to fixing up. It has old WPA stonework buildings and lining of a stream that runs through it that are in disrepair. And we know the city is never going to have the money to fix that kind of stuff. So we're going to go in and fix it with our neighborhood money. It's city money, but the neighborhood gets to decide how to spend it. And that's a very important issue for all neighborhoods. I know both Doris Powell and Allison Glasscock have done fantastic projects in their neighborhoods using the community money. And the reason for the 70-30 split is that no one wanted to see the money just frittered away on, community get-togethers and things that didn't really have a lasting effect on the neighborhood. So that capital project requirement is very important. But who doesn't have drainage problems, lighting problems, security problems, park problems? We've all got problems. So there's no dearth of reasons to spend city money. I mean, everybody's got more projects than they can stand. But I'm going to sit down now and let the next speaker speak, and I guess that we will just go down to Don Lupo, and then we'll go somewhere else.
For the longest time, the citizen participation program, where the staff, the city staff, the paid city staff, assisted the neighborhoods, was housed in the community development department. They now are housed in the Mayor's Office of Citizens Assistance. Mayor's Office of Citizens Assistance. That office is headed by Don Lupo. Don?
Come down here with y'all. I used to be one of y'all, and I'm not sure that I didn't like it better. I was a neighborhood, well, let's start over. I'm sitting on my couch one day. I'm having a really nice time. I think I was watching a ball game or something, and the phone rang, and I made the mistake of answering. And I said, hello, and this gentleman said, Don. I said, yes. And he said, this is, and I said, oh, hello. And he said, I want you to run for neighborhood president. And I said, well, sir, we already have a neighborhood president. And he said, yeah, but I'm not sure that he has the agenda of the neighborhood depart, and I want you to run. And I said, well, that sounds all well and good, but, they've already got the ballot printed, and it's too late to get on the ballot. And he said, no problem. I mean, you'd have to know who I was talking to, and these people know who I was talking to, but he was a real renegade. And he said, we'll just do a write-in. He said, you got 20 friends? I said, absolutely not. No way. I might have 5. And he said, well, do you have 20 acquaintances? I said, yeah, I got 20 acquaintances. He said, can you have them at your house Tuesday night? I said, sure, that'll be fine. So we ran a write-in, and I won. It was probably the 6 or 8 best years of my life being in a neighborhood organization. My neighborhood is a very unique neighborhood. At that time, we had one place, and I think it may even be less now, but at that time, we had one place in our neighborhood that you could buy a mixed drink. We did not have a public school. We did not have a grocery store. We did not have but one place that you could buy a gallon of gasoline. Now, I guess you're sitting there wondering, well, what did you have? Well, we had botanical gardens and we had the zoo. So I think with my association with the neighborhood and the things that we were able to accomplish, and Allison's neighborhood was part of our community, and Councilor Abbott is now the council person over that community. With the things that we were able to accomplish, hopefully I got somebody's attention. And the gentleman that I got the attention of was Mayor Bernard Kincaid, and he gave me my first job in City Hall. In the 11 years since, I've been able to survive 3 elected mayors and 2 appointed mayors. So I've had 5 mayors. I had 4 bosses in 120 days. But it's been a wild ride. It's been a great ride. My office gets to deal with not one neighborhood or not one community, but we deal with all neighborhoods and all communities. We take care of the request for the mayor, we take care of the request for the city councils, city councilors, and we take all the requests from the neighborhoods and all the communities. The 311 call center, our non-emergency call center, runs out of the Mayor's Office of Citizens Assistance, as do all the CRRs, which move the paperwork and move the, I'm sorry, CRRs. Once you're the mayor, you're always the mayor. The CRRs are the community resource representatives, and community resource representatives have offices, and they help move the paperwork. They help move the projects. They help move the money, and they each have, at this time there's 6 of them, so they all have about 13 or 14 neighborhoods each that they do all that paperwork for. But if I could stress one thing to you, and I'm going to sit down, we've heard so many nice things from so many of you. Our hosts, Keith and Nick and Lashima, and all the people, Hillary and the people from New Orleans have been so gracious to us. We have enjoyed our 3 or 4 days. I hope you've learned something from us. We've learned from you. I was here 2.5 to 3 months ago. Your city's better today than it was 2.5 to 3 months ago. You've made great progress, and you will continue to make progress. And as I've told these people over here that I've gotten to know and appreciate, yeah, we have a program that's been in existence for quite some time. Atlanta has a program that's been in existence for quite some time. You will have a program, and years from now you'll say, man, we've been around a long time, as some of your neighborhoods have. Do we have all the answers? No, we don't. Do we have bumps? Yes, we have bumps. But you will come up with a plan, and hopefully you can take some of the things that we're going to leave behind, incorporate them into your plan, and hopefully it makes it better. But you need to get the plan that works for you. And y'all are a great city, and we appreciate the time that you've given us. We appreciate you coming out on Saturday morning. And take what we give and run with it.